What are the other qualities for describing the size-based interval? Apart from the fact that we can use the second, the third, fourth, fifth octave to describe the size-based intervals, we can also use other qualities like unison, step, skip, and leap. One important thing here is that this kind of quality for the size-based interval is usually used to describe the melodic intervals, right? It's used for the melodic intervals in most cases. Now, this is what I mean. In the case of unison interval, that is not far-fetched. We've been talking about unison interval all this while, based on the fact that when you have two pitches of the same pitch level, two notes with the same pitch level, then that's unison. For instance, when you have a performance that is made up of several musical instruments and you see two instruments playing a particular note at the same pitch, then that's unison. For instance, if the saxophonist pitches that C, the same pitch C, and the trumpeter also pitch the same C at the same time, you call that a unison interval. So that is unison interval. In the case of step, you're dealing with pitches that move either a step up or a step down. In the case of step interval, you see a note and the next note just above that former note, that first note. You hear a note and the second note will be directly above it or directly below it, as in do, ti, that is going down, right? Stepwise, step movement. Do, ti, or do, re, that is going up a step. It could be re, mi, it could be re, do, it could be mi, fa, it could be mi, re, all along like that. So when you see notes this way, you're practically referring to an interval of a second. So that is a step interval, right? Think of do, ti, going up, la, ti, la, so, fa, or so, la. All these intervals are interval of a step. And you say they are actually second, right? Talking about the skip interval, skip, you're going to miss out a note, right? You are going to miss out a pitch between the first pitch and the second pitch, right? The first note of the interval and the second note of the interval. So you're skipping out a pitch or a note. For instance, when you're counting the days of the week, you say Monday and Wednesday, you're skipping out Tuesday. All right. So that's the concept of the skip interval. So you are skipping out a note. And remember, in this case, skip interval is practically referring to an interval of a third, right? For instance, when you hear a sound like, you're skipping the re, so it's do, mi, so we're actually skipping re, so that's if it's harmonic interval, right? Or re, fa, you're skipping mi, you're skipping out mi, right? Or you're skipping the T. So that's the concept of the interval of a skip. So it could be anywhere. It could be. So you're actually skipping a note between the two notes that make up the interval. So that's what the skip interval is practically referring to. Okay, now let's talk about leap interval. Okay, in this case, any interval that is greater than a third is a leap interval. Like I said, any interval that is greater than a third is the interval of a leap, right? So you are skipping out at least two notes between the two pitches that make up the interval, right? You are skipping out at least two notes. That is in case of fourth, right? So when you have something like, right? You're skipping re, mi, right? So do, fa, do, re, mi, fa. So you're That is if it is harmonic interval, right? So you're skipping out re, mi, right? And it could be as more as a fifth. You're skipping re, mi, fa. So that is a fifth, right? And it could be a sixth. So it's lip. It could be a seventh. Or that's an octave, right? So it's either you lip up or lip down. It could be in any direction. That's right. So now let's continue. That's the lip interval. Now we're going to discuss some of these intervals using some music. Let's Try Her is actually one of a vocal number from my opera entitled Inuade. Let's Try Her. It's an aria for a tenor singer, right? Looking at the melody, it's actually has more notes moving in steps, right? And of course we have some notes moving in unison. Now let's see what I mean. Let's go through it and see points where we can have unison and step intervals, right? Remember, unison is actually talking about the same note, right? And step is referring to an interval of a second. Remember, a second is a note and the next note above it, or a note and the next note below it, right? We have a step here. We also have a step here. This is a skip. These are unison, right? And a skip down, step. All right, so you see that mostly the music, okay, all right, so we have a lip here, right? So you see that mostly the music is of the interval of unison and steps, but with a few lip intervals here and there, right? Let's get into it. Now I want to discuss the points in the music where we have interval of unison and points in the music where we have interval of steps. Now let's start with unison. All right, so unison, we can find unison here on this C and repeating itself here. We also find unison here. All right, we have unison here and here. We also have unison on this C and on this on these F's. Okay, we also have unison here, F in 3 places, right? Again, we have unison here on D and on C. Let's talk about points where we have interval of step. All right, so we have step here, step up, and going up further, and this one coming down a step. That's interval of a step, step, and step up again. We have the interval of step here, 2, step. What happen here? Step, step, step down, and step up, and up again. We have the interval of step here. We have the interval of step here. This is step. This is also step, and it's going up a step further, and it's coming down a step here, yet going up a step here, coming down a step here before the end of that phrase. Now let's say this one. This is not a step, this is a skip, right? This is also a skip. Okay, we have step here, we have step here, and of course this is a step, right? Coming down a step, and this goes up a step, right? And going up a step 2, right? Step also. Okay, step up and step further up. Now step up here, we have a skip here, a step up, a leap down, and a skip up, right? So you see that the music has more of step intervals, right? Though we also have interval of unison in it, we have more of intervals with step, and the other kind of intervals we take the other fewer parts of the music. We can also discover this interval by listening to the music. All right, let's see how the music goes. Okay, all right, now let's continue from the beginning. So you see that step, then that's unison, right? Then that's skip, right? That's a step there, right? Then so you see that the music has mostly interval of step and unison, right? We have few ones with skip and leap intervals, and I think that's why the music sounds persuasive. Now, this is also one of my compositions for the orchestra. So for this exercise, we're going to discuss just a fragment from the opening of the composition. But in this case, we're going to talk about these two parts, the flute and the violin parts. You see that mostly we see varied intervals in the music, but we also have leap intervals a lot in the music, right? And of course, we also have intervals of step, right? And in this case, a kind of semitone or half step movement, either up or down, right? Now let's see what happened in the music. So from the beginning of the music, you see that the flute has a unison here. The first two notes was unison, right? And going down a step, then unison, then a step, then you have unison, another step, another step. That's from B down to B flat. That's a step, right? But a semitone step, right? Okay, now then going down another step, and the same thing in violin part. You see that trend from D unison down a step, then unison down a step. That is from that C sharp to C natural, right? Then C natural going down to B is semitone step, right? And from B to B flat, that is also semitone movement downwards. Trend goes downwards, so you see them in steps, and that is the combination of steps and unison. Now going to A, from B flat to A, it's also a step and semitone. B flat, then. So now what happened from there? From that A, then it goes up, right? It goes up a leap. So we have a leap here, and this leaps down from A to E, right? If the key of the music is D major, it means there's a so, right? From so, re, so, re. The violin will go so, re, then, right? Okay, so that's a leap. Now we also have leap here from G to E. We also have a great leap here from F sharp to F sharp up, right? So that's off an octave. Now let's see another leap further up from that F sharp to D. So we have from that F sharp, right? Da, ta, 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 ta. So it's like a leap up from that mi, do, la, mi, re, right? Mi, do. So it's a leap, right? We also have a leap downwards here, though there was a rest in between. You see, from that B down to the lower B, right? And you also have the same thing from that B down, leaping up. All right, let's discuss the points where we can have step intervals in details. All right, we have this going down, and we have another step here. We have another step here, and further going down, right? And going down too. So you have those steps there. There's another one here, and mind you, we also have the same thing here, the same thing happening in the violin part, right? And you also have the same thing here melodically. Talking about the melodic intervals, right? We have a step here likewise. Okay, so where do we have a step again? Step here, and going down a step, and further going down a step, and the same thing happening here, going down, further a step. So what happens here? From F sharp to G sharp, a step to A sharp before ending on B with a step, whereas there's a unison here, right? The A sharps, right? Now the same thing happens here, right? See the notes going up a step. This was broken by unison before going further up a step, right? Now let's see what happened here. We also have a step here from that F sharp to F natural, then to E, right? Now we have a step here. Alright, so from B to G sharp. Okay, that's a skip, right? Now we have a step here and further going down. Now we have the theme again, but in another tonality, going down a step, and the same thing happening here, a step. And what happens here? So from there we have this semitone movement downwards. We also have the same thing. So what happens again? See this guy going up a step. The violin also goes up a step. Alright, let's see what happens here. C sharp to B, alright, and C sharp to B, alright, and going down to A, right? And of course the same thing happening here, going down to A. So those are the points where we have intervals of steps in the music. These are the melodic intervals in steps and the opening of the music. Now let's discuss the leap intervals that we can find in the music. We have one here, that's a leap down and a leap upwards. Now we have another leap here, leap of a sixth, right? Also leap of a sixth here, then leap of a fourth down also, then a leap of an octave, and it further leaps up to upper D, and the same thing happens here. It leaps up to D, from F sharp to D, right? Let's see what happens again. Alright, like I said the other time, this is more or less a leap downwards from that top B to the lower B, right? And we also have the same leap here, but in this case it's even more than an octave, right? That is a compound second, right? Or a ninth. It's more than an octave. Alright, that is from the top B then down to A, 2 A's below the first B. Now we have another leap of an octave here. Okay, this is also a leap. Okay, we're having a leap here also. It leaps up from A to D. Yes, that's a fourth. That's a perfect fourth, and it's a leap. And the same thing here also. Alright, so those are the points where we have leaps. Of course, with a few other intervals like the interval of skip. For instance, let's see where we can find the skip intervals. We have one here, that's a skip. We have another one here from B down to G, right? So we have another one here repeating itself, same interval. What do we have here? We also have a skip here. So those are the melodic intervals in the music. And one thing is the fact that both the flute and the violin play as a point octave apart. So we can also discuss the harmonic interval in the music. Alright, so basically in this part, flute and violin play in unison or in an octave apart, right? But we also have a few exceptions here and there in the music. Alright, let's see what happens as regards the harmonic interval in the music. So you see the flute playing an octave higher than the violin here, and the same trend continues down until we get here. So the two instruments are actually playing an octave apart from each other until we get here. What now happens here is that they both play in unison and unison and unison also, until we have this as a form of solo from the flute while violin rested and shortly respond with this tremolo, right? So you see a kind of different notes here because there's B and this is G sharp, right? Okay, all right, and the same thing happens here. This is B and the violin plays B and the flute plays A, right? And we also have different arrangements here. B from the flute sounds against D in violin, and the same thing happens here when G sounds here in violin. We also have B here from the flute. Alright, so we have that there. And going forward, we also have the two parts moving in unison from here and moves like that to the end of the music. The two parts move in unison. Alright, now let's listen to the music and see how it sounds. From there you can also pick out the interval. I'm going to play a scaled down version from the opening of the composition that has the sounds of flute and violin, but not the entire orchestra. Alright, so let's go. Alright, that's it. So right, so we have that movement an octave apart at the beginning of the music. When we get here, the two parts move in unison, right? Alright, that's it.